This is the story of Chief Ebenezer Akand, a respected businessman whose life changed in ways he never imagined, not through wealth, not through power, but through kindness from someone the world overlooked. A story of gratitude, choices, and second chances. Chief Ebenezer's mansion in Victoria Crest was beautiful, polished, and perfect, but the people inside it were not. The chief and his wife, Madame Felicia, had once been closely fing over meals, dreaming together. But over the years, work pressure, social expectations, and pride built walls between them. They spoke politely in public, projecting an image of marital bliss. But privately, they lived like two strangers walking through the same hallway. The grand rooms of their home echoed with an unspoken emptiness. Chief longed for peace. Not more wealth. Not more success. Just a simple, quiet peace that money could not buy. One calm evening, Chief and Felicia sat across from each other at their expansive dinner table. The gourmet food, prepared by a private chef, was untouched, and the silence between them was heavy, almost suffocating. Felicia, finally breaking the stillness with a dramatic sigh, spoke up. "Ebenezer," she said, her voice laced with a familiar mix of exhaustion and annoyance. "You work too much, and I am tired of running this big house alone. We need help." Chief, weary from the constant tension, agreed without argument. It was a practical solution to a deeper problem. Through a trusted friend, they hired a young village woman named Amara Daniel. She arrived quietly one morning, carrying only a small bag containing her few belongings and a heart full of hope for a new life. Amara was gentle, soft-spoken, and respectful to a fault. She moved through the grand house with a quiet efficiency, her presence barely a whisper. She cleaned the house with meticulous care, making every surface gleam. She greeted everyone, from the chief to the security guards, with a warm, genuine smile that seemed to light up her face. She cooked simple, traditional meals that were a stark contrast to the fancy cuisine they were used to, meals that reminded Chief of the warmth and comfort of his childhood. Within a week, the mansion began to feel different. The air felt lighter, less oppressive. The silence became softer, more peaceful. Even Chief, a chronic insomniac, found himself sleeping better at night. A deep, restorative sleep he hadn't experienced in years. But not everyone was pleased with this newfound tranquility. Felicia was used to a luxurious lifestyle that revolved around high-profile social events, spa days, and shopping for designer clothes. Home responsibilities were a foreign concept to her, a chore she was happy to delegate. At first, she appreciated Amara's help, as it freed up more of her time. But soon, she began noticing little things that pricked at her pride. She heard Chief complimenting Amara's home-cooked meals, something he hadn't done for her in years. She saw how Amara greeted their guests with a natural grace and humility that charmed everyone. She overheard visitors saying, "Your home feels warmer lately." Felicia didn't dislike Amara as a person, but she deeply disliked that someone else had brought comfort and warmth into her home, a role she felt she had failed to fulfill. Slowly, insidiously, insecurity took root in her heart and began to poison her perspective. Chief, aware of the growing chasm between them, made several attempts to reconnect with Felicia. He tried inviting her to join him for morning tea on the veranda, a ritual they once cherished. He asked for her help in planning family dinners, hoping to rekindle a sense of partnership. He encouraged simple conversations about their day, trying to rebuild the bridge of communication. But Felicia had grown attached to her own world that existed almost entirely outside their marriage. She preferred attending glitzy events alone, took extensive trips abroad without him, and stayed out late more and more often, returning home long after he was asleep. Chief felt the distance widening with each passing day, but he remained patient, hoping for a change. Amara, ever observant, noticed the palpable tension. She never interfered or took sides. She simply focused on her duties, performing them with quiet excellence and taking on more work to ease the household strain. A moment of truth arrived unexpectedly one afternoon. Chief returned early from a business trip, hoping to surprise his wife. He found the house unusually quiet. He discovered Amara in the garden, humming softly as she trimmed the rose bushes. Felicia was in the living room, scrolling through her phone, visibly annoyed because a high society event she planned to attend had been canceled. Chief sat beside her gently, his presence a quiet intrusion into her frustration. "Felicia, we need to talk," he began, his voice soft but firm. "We've been drifting apart for years. I want us to fix this." Felicia let out a long sigh. She wasn't angry, she was just tired. "Ebenezer, maybe we want different things now," she confessed, her words hanging in the air with a sad finality. Their conversation was calm, mature, and painfully honest. There were no accusations, no shouting matches, just two adults coming to the quiet realization that love could fade even without hatred, like a fire slowly burning down to embers. After weeks of soul-searching, difficult discussions, and sessions with a marriage counselor, Chief and Felicia mutually agreed to separate peacefully. It was not a decision born of anger or betrayal. There was no other woman, no shocking affair. It was the solemn acknowledgement that they no longer shared the same life path. Their dreams and desires had diverged so completely that they could no longer walk together. Felicia moved to another city to pursue her dream of starting a fashion agency, a venture she was passionate about. Chief remained in Lagos, choosing to focus on his businesses and philanthropic work. They wished each other well, maintaining a mutual respect that surprised their social circle. It was a dignified, graceful end to a story that once had so much love. For months after the separation, Chief was enveloped by a profound sense of loneliness. The sprawling mansion, once a symbol of his success, now felt too large, its rooms too quiet and empty. His footsteps echoed in the silent hallways, a constant reminder of what was lost. Amara continued working with her usual grace and diligence, always keeping a respectful and professional distance. But she noticed the deep sadness in Chief's eyes, the way his shoulders slumped when he thought no one was watching. She began leaving him small, thoughtful notes. "Sir, don't forget to eat. Sir, the garden is blooming today. It might cheer you up. Sir, try to rest early tonight." She wasn't trying to be close or familiar. She was simply being kind. And sometimes, simple kindness is louder and more powerful than any words. A genuine friendship began to blossom one rainy evening. Chief found Amara outside on the patio, struggling to protect a tray of clothes she was drying from the sudden downpour and gusting wind. He wordlessly went back inside and returned with an umbrella, holding it over her. "You'll get sick," he said softly, his voice full of concern. She looked up, surprised, and offered a shy, grateful smile. "My mother taught me never allow the rain to ruin what you worked hard for," she explained. In that moment, for the first time, Chief truly saw her, not as a maid, but as a young woman with strong values, immense patience, and a quiet, unshakable dignity. From that day on, their conversations became more frequent. They spoke about life, about their different childhood struggles, about their dreams for the future, and about the weight of their responsibilities. Their conversations were always calm, respectful, and surprisingly uplifting. A gentle, unexpected friendship grew in the quiet spaces of the lonely mansion. As their friendship deepened, Chief's respect for Amara turned into profound admiration. He admired her incredible work ethic, her unwavering humility, and her deep-seated compassion for others. He was moved by her willingness to help anyone in need and her remarkable ability to stay positive despite the hardships she had faced in her own life. He began to take an active interest in her future, supporting her education by enrolling her in evening classes and encouraging her to pursue her personal goals. He started treating her less like an employee and more like a trusted member of his home, a confidant. Amara, in turn, remained consistently respectful, never once crossing the professional boundaries that separated them. But admiration has a powerful way of strengthening bonds, turning simple respect into something much deeper. One sun-drenched morning, after months of careful thought and introspection, Chief asked Amara to sit with him in the living room. The atmosphere was serious, yet calm. He looked at her and spoke gently, his words coming from a place of deep sincerity. "Amara, you have brought peace into my home. You have brought respect back into my life. And you have brought a calmness into my heart that I thought was lost forever. I want to ask, would you consider building a future with me?" Amara was utterly shocked. She sat frozen, the words hanging in the air. She had never, in her wildest dreams, expected such a proposal. She respectfully asked for time to think. She spoke at length with her family, seeking their counsel. She prayed. She reflected deeply on the man he was and the life he was offering. A month later, she gave him her answer. "Sir, yes, but only if we build that future together, with respect, equality, and a shared purpose." Chief smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile that reached his eyes. "With all my heart," he promised. Their wedding was a small, quiet, and elegant affair. There was no extravagance, no splashy magazine spreads, no room for gossip. It was a celebration of love and grateful hearts, attended only by their closest family and friends. In a testament to their peaceful parting, even Felicia sent her blessings from afar, proving that their separation held no bitterness. Amara became not just Chief's wife, but his true partner, his most trusted advisor, and his constant source of peace. Together, they channeled their resources and energy into philanthropy. They built schools in underprivileged areas, started programs to help widows become self-sufficient, and funded medical support for rural communities. Amara used her new position not for luxury or status, but as a platform to lift others, never forgetting where she came from. Chief Ebenezer did not divorce his wife to marry his maid. He divorced peacefully because his marriage had ended in spirit long before it ended on paper. He married Amara because her kindness healed wounds that money and power could not. This story teaches us that respect is the true foundation of love. It shows that kindness can come from anyone, regardless of their station in life. It proves that social status does not determine a person's value or worth. It reminds us that peace is the greatest and most precious form of wealth. And it confirms that second chances, when embraced with an open heart, can create the most beautiful and unexpected endings. If you enjoyed this story, share it with someone who believes that compassion can transform lives. More inspiring stories coming soon. Marriage brought Amara into a completely different world. She went from a simple village home to a sprawling mansion filled with expectations, a full staff, constant visitors, and immense responsibilities. People now greeted her with a newfound respect she was still getting used to. Madam Amara, good morning, madam, your meeting is ready. Madam, the charity team has arrived. But deep inside her heart, she remained the same humble woman who once woke before dawn to sweep a dusty courtyard. This was the quality chief Ebenezer Akand loved most about her. Not everyone, however, welcomed Amara with open arms. Some of the high society women whispered whenever they saw her, their voices laced with disdain. She used to be a maid. Is she really capable of handling a family business? Let's see how long this fantasy lasts. Amara heard the whispers, but she never allowed them to curdle into anger. Instead, she channeled her energy into learning. She dedicated herself to understanding how to manage the household staff, how to oversee the intricate budgets for their charitable works, how to speak with confidence at public events, and how to be a worthy representative of the esteemed Akand Foundation. Chief noticed her unwavering determination. "You are stronger than you realize," he told her one quiet evening as they sat together on the balcony, overlooking the city lights. A soft smile touched her lips. She knew she wasn't working so hard to impress the critics or to prove a point. She was doing it to honor the incredible opportunity she had been given. Months later, a familiar, sleek car pulled into the mansion's driveway. It was Felicia's chief's ex-wife. She stepped out gracefully, dressed in a simple, elegant dress, a stark contrast to the glamorous and flashy outfits she once preferred. A knot of nervousness tightened in Amara's stomach. She had no idea why Felicia had come. Chief welcomed his ex-wife respectfully, maintaining a calm and composed demeanor. Felicia's gaze swept across the house, a thoughtful expression on her face. "It feels more alive now," she said, her voice surprisingly gentle. It became clear she wasn't there to cause trouble. She had come because she had matured, healed from their shared past, and was seeking closure. She turned to Amara and asked if they could speak privately. In the quiet of the private lounge, the atmosphere was calm, not tense, as Amara had feared. Felicia sat down first, a picture of poised. "Amara," she began softly, her voice steady, "I want to say thank you." Amara was taken aback. "For what, Ma?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "For bringing peace to a man I once cared for deeply," Felicia explained. "Our marriage had ended long before you ever entered the picture. I want you to know, I do not hold anything against you." Amara's eyes softened, the tension melting away. "Thank you for your kindness. I respect you, and I pray that life brings you abundant joy." For the first time, Felicia smiled, a sincere and genuine smile that reached her eyes. In that moment, two women, once connected only by circumstance, were now united by a profound mutual respect. Inspired by their new chapter, Chief and Amara launched a major community project, the Hope Reach Initiative. It was a foundation dedicated to supporting the most vulnerable: widows, orphans, young girls desperate for an education, small village farmers struggling to make ends meet, and families on the brink of collapse. Amara personally traveled to remote, rural communities. She wasn't just a figurehead. She was on the ground, listening to people's stories, delivering food supplies, awarding scholarships to bright young minds, opening small libraries in villages that had none, and teaching basic financial planning skills to help families build a better future. Her profound humility and genuine compassion touched everyone she met. Soon the media began to take notice, bestowing upon her a new title, the People's First Lady. But she never let the fame distract her from her purpose. "I am only giving back what life gave me," she would always say, "a second chance." But success, as it often does, brought its own set of challenges. During one of her community visits, Amara met a young girl named Chisholm who had tragically lost both her parents. Amara felt an instant, deep connection to her. Chisholm's quiet demeanor, her hopeful eyes, and her underlying strength reminded Amara of her own younger self. The girl needed a stable, loving home. That evening, Amara approached Chief with a heavy heart but a clear mind. "Ebenezer, I want us to adopt Chisholm." Chief looked thoughtful, his gaze steady. "Are you sure? This is a very big responsibility, my love." Amara nodded without hesitation. "I don't want her to grow up alone the way I almost did." A warm smile spread across Chief's face as he took her hand in his. "Then let's bring our daughter home." Chisholm moved into the Akand mansion, and at first, she was painfully shy. She would hide behind doorways, eat her meals in silence, and rarely speak a word. But Amara, patient and kind, became the mother Chisholm had never had. She helped her with her homework, told her bedtime stories from her own childhood, taught her the beautiful songs of her village, and encouraged her to dream as big as the sky. Chief played his part, too. He transformed into a doting father, attending school events, teaching Chisholm about leadership and integrity, introducing her to the world of books, and taking her on long evening walks around their beautiful gardens. Slowly but surely, Chisholm blossomed. The grand mansion, once filled with a heavy silence, now echoed with the sound of a child's happy laughter. About a year later, Chief's company faced a major financial crisis. A severe market downturn, a failed investment by a key partner, and unexpected losses in their logistics division had created a perfect storm. Panic spread through the company, and the media began circulating damaging rumors. Through it all, Amara remained a pillar of calm. She attended every board meeting, not as a boss, but as a steadfast source of support for her husband. She would remind him constantly, "Storms don't last, Ebenezer. We will rebuild, brick by brick." With Amara's steady presence and quiet wisdom by his side, Chief made a series of smart, difficult decisions. He restructured entire departments, launched new, more sustainable projects, created innovative youth employment programs to invest in the future, and cut all unnecessary luxury spending. The company didn't just recover, it emerged stronger and more resilient than before. And in that process, Chief realized a profound truth. Amara wasn't just his partner at home, she was his partner in destiny. To celebrate the incredible success of their foundation and the company's recovery, a grand gala was organized. The most important leaders and dignitaries from across the country were in attendance. Amara walked in wearing a simple yet elegant dress, and as she entered, the entire room rose to their feet, erupting in applause. They weren't clapping because she was wealthy or because she was married to a powerful chief. They were clapping because she had genuinely changed lives. In her speech that night, her voice was clear and strong. "I once cleaned floors in this very city. But today, I stand here because someone believed in me. My mission is simple, to believe in others the same way." The room went silent for a moment, absorbing her words, and then a thunderous, heartfelt applause filled the hall. Later that night, Chief looked at her with an expression of deep admiration and love. "You have given my life a meaning I never knew it was missing," he whispered. Amara smiled, her eyes shining. "And you gave me a chance when the rest of the world saw me as invisible." Just then, Chisholm ran up and hugged them both from behind, her small arms wrapped tightly around their waists. "We are a real family now," she said happily, and it was true. They weren't a perfect family, but they were a family built on respect, compassion, unwavering commitment, a shared purpose, and a love that grew quietly but with the deepest of roots. This story teaches us that your beginnings do not define your destiny, that kindness attracts blessings, and that peace is far more important than perfection. It shows that a broken past can indeed create a beautiful future, and that true families are built not through blood, but through love.